Hello, here we have just a quick video from the bench. Sharing is caring, so I thought I'd show you how to modify this Siemens V274 distribution amp into a full-fledged mic preamp with variable gain and a harness with power. All plug and play and pretty nice sounding. Stick around till the end because I'm going to show you what this thing sounds like. Let's start by taking a closer look at the schematic, shall we? We have an input transformer, a fairly complicated output transformer, and our approach to coax more gain out of this guy is to firstly run the two individual input windings of the input transformer in parallel versus in series. Then the output transformer has three independent output windings, which we're going to hook up in series to get the most gain out of it. We do have a feedback loop to set the amplification, which is found around here. Two trimmers, R14 and R15. This is to preset the gain, and then the intention of Siemens was that you add a switch over here, and there it says change of amplification. I'm just going to replace this with a pot. We're going to go for a 10K pot, which actually raises the feedback, hence the gain. So far for the strategy. Now let's pop this thing open. 4 screws down here. There you have your input transformer, a Haufe T949, and a proprietary Siemens output transformer. Take off this massive heatsink here. And here's what she looks like inside. Here you can see the two power transistors. I think it's a class A thing because these guys really run hot. And actually here's where we're going to add the volume knobs. So I need to take off the front panel to drill the hole. Just these 4 screws here. I like to go in increasing drill sizes, starting with 2 mils up to 8 millimeters. Clean enough for our purposes. And now before we even start with the mod, we should do a minimum of recapping. These 3 guys here are for the power filtering, and then we have 2 audio coupling capacitors that could benefit from replacement. This is just a single-sided PCB, so we should be fine with this box standard desoldering pump. And to work quickly, I've marked all the individual spots to unsolder.
Swinging along, minding my business, when suddenly out of the blue, just like a present from heaven.
Here at the front we need to pay attention. This guy needs replacing, but we'll have to move it slightly towards the back because right here we'll have the gain knob. So a little bit of shrink tubing is on order. So you go in here. Yeah, this looks about right. 1. Then gently push it back. Yeah, and I'm probably not going to show you the entire process of the recapping. I think it's a given. Be sure to get the polarity right with those electrolytics and you should be good. Here's the 5 old electrolytics. Fairly quickly done. Ta-da! And there we have our fresh caps. 1 here, 3 here for the power filtering, and another one as audio coupling caps. Now the daunting bit, to me at least, was the rewiring of the input transformer. That's this guy here, because all you have is those color-coded leads, but the colors have faded through the decades. So it took me quite a bit of head scratching, but at least in this case, I figured it out. So what needs to be done? Cut this wire link here, where it says C1. That's quickly done. And then we need to add 2 wire links. Here's what it's supposed to look like. From here to here. And then you have a link right here, okay? As a volume knob, we'll be using a 10K log potentiometer. I've also tried higher values like 100K, which gives you almost 60 dB of gain, but it really gets noisy. So I think something just under 50 dB is the sweet spot for this module here at least. The two cables from the gain knob get connected to this solder lug here labeled 3 and here this solder lug labeled 17 next to the trimmer. Now we can already reassemble the heatsink. So, and these two cables go to the rightmost pins of the 10K potentiometer. Done. Attach the pot to the front panel. That real tight. Now let's find a pretty knob. This one here looks kind of cool. Yeah, now it's time to reattach the front panel. And it actually goes into the case. Okay, so the module is ready, but we still need to take care of the harness. So we need a 31 pin DIN connector. That's these guys here. What we need to do, we want to wire the output windings of the output transformer in series. Hence, wire links between 24 and 26, 20 and 22. We need another wire link to link chassis and 0 volts from the power supply, so we can do a link between 2 and 3. Input goes in here, 6 to 8. By the way, I've been wondering what these resistors are there for. They're floating in the air, going nowhere. The idea is that this is your secondary input, and there you have your T-pad. To activate the secondary input, just link 5 and 6, and 8 and 9, which we're not going to do here. Anywho, input, output sorted, power straightforward, plus 24 goes to 30, then 0 volts to 4. And to get the shields connected, I've realized that we can link 4 to 7, which will then give us shield at 23 if I'm not mistaken. But I will show you on the connector itself. You really need a third hand for this kind of job. This is all the wire links. We have one going from 2 to 3, 1 to 7. Then we're linking the windings of the output transformer, that's 20 to 22 and 24 to 26. Input, ground goes to pin number 4. Cold goes to pin number 6. Hot goes to 8. Now for the output, cold goes to pin number 18. Hot goes to 28. And ground goes to 23. Ouch, that was hot. I like to work with string tubing to get things to look a bit more neat. Yeah, also it helps prevent short circuits, right? Now, power supply. I'm usually happy with affordable switch mode wall warts. Just pick one with enough milliamps because the V274 is quite power hungry. Here we have 1200. Be sure to get the polarity right, and then plus goes to pin 30 and 0 volts goes to pin 2. And we don't want any short circuits here, so I'm always adding some string tubing at least to the plus 24 volts rail. Also, it's smart to add a cable tie right here because this will act sort of as a strain relief. So there you have it, job done. Let's see what the baby sounds like. As a microphone, we'll be using this Studio Electronics SE4100. Just got it lately, and I like it quite a bit actually. It's not harsh sounding and just works. All right, power on. Yeah, and here's what this thing sounds like. As you can hear, it's pretty full-bodied, warm. There is quite some coloration going on, courtesy the beautiful transformers in here. And if I'm not mistaken, the V274 is actually class A. In other words, it runs hot. That's one thing I realized. it gets warm to the touch after a couple of minutes. The frequency response is also amazingly flat. We have a slight boost at the very low end and a slight boost at the very top end. Nothing to complain about, and overall a very, very valid mic pre. There you go. I hope you had fun watching this nerdy bit. Catch you in the next one. There's more stuff to come. See ya.